So when we already filled in the blank for this, we said a monomial is a number. So for those of you who slept through that, fill it in now. A number, a variable, or a product of them. What does product mean? What are we doing if we say product? We're multiplying. We're multiplying. So we could have a number and call it a monomial. We could have a variable and call it a monomial. Or we could have a product of a number and a variable and call it a monomial. Give me an example then of a product of a number and a variable. Ariel? 10x. 10, the number being multiplied by x, the variable. 10x is a monomial. 10 by itself, if we just talk about the number 10, it's a monomial. If we have just x by itself, we talk about that as a monomial. When they're multiplied together and we have 10x, that's a monomial. And then we were just talking about how they have to have whole number exponents. And we still haven't figured out what the whole number set is. The whole number set is all the counting numbers. Where do the counting numbers start?
0.
At 1. No, I don't think anybody taught you to count starting at 0, did they really? Starting at 1 and going up by 1. So 1, 2, 3. So the counting numbers and 0. The whole number set is the counting numbers, add 0 to it, and now you have the whole number set. So a polynomial then is considered to be a monomial. Whoopsie, you gotta spell that right. Mono, M-O-N-O, meal, M-I-A-L, monomial, or the sum or difference of monomials. So when we just have one term, a number, or a variable, or a product of a number and a variable, when we have just one of them, it's called a monomial. Once we start putting them together and have more than one of them, with an addition or a subtraction going on, now we have another type of polynomial. Okay, standard form. This is another term that we need to know. What do they mean when they ask you to write a polynomial in standard form? A standard form of a polynomial, another thing that JC said, that contains just one variable. We're only talking about expressions that have one variable involved in them. If it is written in standard form, the terms are in order from the greatest exponent, so the greatest whole number exponent on the variable, to the least. Okay? So when we're putting it in standard form, the monomial terms have to, the one with the largest exponent has to lead the pack, the one with the smallest exponent has to end the pack. Okay? Has to be at the end of our polynomial. And then one more thing we need to pay attention to is when a polynomial is written in standard form, so we have it, greatest exponent to least exponent, the coefficient of the first term. What's a coefficient? What's that mean, right?
Physical science.
The coefficient is the number that is above the whole.
Above the whole number?
No, it's like on the left side of the. I think it's a big number.
It's on the left side of what?
It's a big number.
Okay, so let's go back to Ariel's monomial 10x. What's the coefficient of 10x?
10.
10. Yeah, so the number that the variable is being multiplied by, right? So the coefficients, and you have these in science now?
Yeah.
So we should be kind
Some of them last
some of them last year, some of you now. Okay. So the coefficient of the first term is what we call the leading coefficient. If you're in first, you're leading. Leading coefficient. Okay. So we've talked about monomials. A monomial is actually a polynomial. Other polynomials are made up of monomials. We've talked about when you have a polynomial, you can write it in standard form. And when it is in standard form, the coefficient on the leading term is called the leading coefficient. Okay? So let's go to those problems at the bottom of page, or it says close to the bottom of page 407. And we're going to do 3A. First of all, let's look and see what are the directions above those. What do they want us to do? Who can read that for us? What are the directions for these? Volunteer? Find the problems, the check it out problems 3A and 3B, and I want the directions written. Jason? Read, excuse me.
Write each polynomial in standard form and give the leading coefficient.
Okay, write each polynomial in standard form and then give the leading coefficient. Okay, let's write it down the way it was given to us. Okay, copy it down from the book, 3A. How is it given to us to start with? It's still a polynomial when it's in this form. Okay, so after you have it written down, change any subtraction that's in it to add the opposite. Let's change any subtraction we have to add the opposite. Because now once we have an all addition, addition says you can put me in any order you want. And it wants us to put it in standard form. So in other words, it wants us to take all of the monomial terms of this and rearrange them so that the monomial that it starts with has the biggest exponent and the monomial that it ends with has the least, and they go down in descending order. How many monomials are making up this polynomial, by the way? 3? Is 16 a monomial?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a number.
4.
Is negative 4x squared a monomial? Yeah, it's a product of a number and a variable. Is x to the 5th a monomial? Yeah, it's a variable. Is 9x cubed a monomial? Yeah. Okay, so how many monomials are there? 4. So we have a 4-term polynomial. It's made up of 4 monomials. We need to rearrange those monomials so that the goes from exponent greatest to least. So which term should we put in front? X to the 5th. X to the 5th gets to lead the pack because it has the highest exponent. Plus 9x to the 3rd power is the next smallest exponent. Which one's next?
Plus a negative 4x squared.
Plus a negative 4x squared. And that leaves us, last but not least, our constant of 16. Okay. So if it was a 4-term polynomial, it better be a 4-term polynomial when we're done rearranging it also. Okay. Could you tell me what exponent 16 is taken to? It is 16 itself is to the 1st power, but it's the exponent on the variable. Well, since there's no variable on here, what invisible variable to what power could we put on there? And it would not change it from having a value of 16. Cameron?
0.
Yeah, x to the 0 power. I'm just going to show it. You don't have to write this necessarily in your notes, but I want you to see this. Because it's the exponent on the variable that we're looking for, not the exponent on any numbers, just the variable part. So we went 5, 3, 2, 0. What is x to the 0 power?
1.
1. What's 1 times 16?
16.
16. So it's really been cleaned up. We don't really need this because it's 1 and 1 times 16 is still 16. So what do you think is always, if there's a constant term in the polynomial, where do you think that constant will always be? At the end. It will always be the last term. The constant will always be the last term. Okay? Now, what was the other thing they wanted from this? We have it, we got to clean it up though yet, don't we? We have to get the subtraction out of that. X to the 5th plus 9x cubed minus 4x squared plus 16. There's our standard form. Maybe you should put that in your notes, that's standard form. And then we will call the leading coefficient, instead of having to write all that out, I will let you call that LC. Okay? So the LC is what? What's the leading coefficient? Josh? I thought you were putting a hand up. Cameron?
1.
1. What is x to the fifth being multiplied by? An invisible 1, isn't it? So the leading coefficient is 1. You look at the first term once it's in standard form, and you take the number that that variable term is being multiplied by. It's being multiplied by 1 invisibly, but okay. You go ahead and try 3b then now on your own. Try 3b on your own. Write it down as it starts with first on your paper. How does it start in the book? And if while you're writing it down you want to change it to add the opposite right away, you can. And then also clean it up, and then state the leading coefficient. Okay, volunteer to come up here and put it in standard form for us, cleaned up. Okay, come on up, JC. And this board just works better with your finger as a pen rather than picking up a pen, so.
Did I have to do I have to rewrite it and then do that? Or can
I just want
do
you to
it?
give me the final answer in standard form. Cleaned up.
Can you see the paper right now?
Yeah, anything that touches it does, just like your finger. So when sometimes when my clothing touches it, and I'm writing, and then I get spots on there. Okay, thank you. Okay, look up and see if you agree with JC. Do we all have that as our polynomial in standard form? And the leading coefficient is -3, she says. Do we agree?
Yes.
She's right. So if you don't agree with her, you better change your notes, huh? Standard form. The exponents have to be in decreasing order. So we have an 8, that's bigger than a 5. A 5 is bigger than there's a 1 right here that's invisible. So that's what makes it be in standard form. Okay, so any questions of putting a polynomial in standard form and being able to identify its leading coefficient?
How do you find it again? The leading coefficient?
Okay, the leading coefficient is you look at the leading term, the leading monomial, and you say, what is the coefficient of that one? So we go to this one right here, and we say, here's my leading term, my leading monomial. The coefficient is -3. Okay, let's just take a little sidetrack here. What if our polynomial started with this? -x to the 7th. What would the leading coefficient be?
-1.
-1, yeah, it'd be a -1, wouldn't it? Okay. Anybody else have questions? Okay, let's go to the back then, see what we're going to do. Polynomials have degrees. The degree is the exponent of the term. So you look at the term and you say, what is it? You look at its exponent, but you look at the one with the largest degree. So in other words, once it's in standard form, you look at the first term, the first monomial, and you say, what's its exponent? That's going to be the degree of the polynomial. So, first of all, here's a polynomial 4x cubed minus 6x plus 1. Is that in standard form right now? How do you feel about that? Do you think that one's in standard form?
Yeah.
4x cubed minus 6x plus 1. Marky, is this in standard form? Engage here, okay?
Alright.
Do you even know which one I'm talking about?
The first one right there. The
Yeah, this
points.
one right here. Is that in standard form?
Oh.
Yes, it is. Okay, so now its leading term, the exponent on the leading term gets to determine the degree of the polynomial. So what is the degree of this polynomial? Brighton?
3.
3. It's a degree 3. The exponent on the variable of the leading term is the degree of the polynomial. This is a third degree polynomial then. Now let's talk about the number of terms. I've been kind of using them interchangeably already. The number of terms is the number of monomials the polynomial is made up of. So monomials, added, subtracted in a polynomial, they are also called terms. So here's another polynomial that I have here. X to the fourth, subtract 2x cubed plus x minus 5. First of all, answer this question for me. Is that in standard form?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. What's its leading coefficient?
1,
1. What's its degree?
4,
4. How many terms does it have?
2.
4. It also has 4 terms. Okay? Number of terms. You count up how many monomials it is made up of. So let me get rid of my circle here so we can see it better. Okay, let's change this to add the opposite, and now this one to add the opposite. And we can start underlining. We have one monomial, there's a second monomial, there's a third one, and there's a fourth one. 4 monomials means there's 4 terms. Okay? Cameron.
I don't know if it's just a coincidence of the notes, but in the first one we did, it has a degree of 3, there's 3 terms. And the second one we did is a degree of 4, there's 4 terms.
And that is just a coincidence. Okay, so that's a good point to make, Cameron. Because the degree does not have to match the number of terms. Okay, the degree does not have to match the number of terms. In this case, it did it, both of them, didn't it? Okay, but that doesn't have to be the case. So it is a coincidence, okay? Okay, some polynomials have special names, and we're going to learn them. Their special names are based on their degree, and the number of terms they have. So, if it is a degree 0, we already talked about degree. If something is to the 0 power, what is it?
It's 1.
Josh? Not 1. Or something to the 0 power is 1. But what kind of monomial has an x to the 0 power?
Constant.
A constant. So if we have a constant, remember that's always going to be at the end of our standard form. If it is a degree 0, its degree name is constant. So if I have a polynomial and the polynomial is my age, 60, the polynomial 60 has a degree of 0, so it would be called a constant. Okay, degree 1. If it's to the first degree, the degree of the polynomial is to the first degree, then we say it is linear. And we are familiar with linear. We've already studied linear. mx plus b. X is to the first power. Degree 2. That's going to be coming up for us to study. It's called quadratic then. Quad, Q-U-A-D, radic, R-A-T-I-C, quadratic. Okay, if it's a degree 3, anybody want to take a guess at what they think a degree 3 would be? I think
Cubic.
cubic, yeah. When you have a cube, you have 3 dimensions. Cubic. Okay, degree 4. It's in your book, by the way. If you want to-
That's how it's.
Oh, that's where Isaac's getting them. Can somebody else give us degree 4 besides Isaac? What is it, Malcolm? You're close.
Oh, you were right.
You're close. I just wasn't sure how you said it. It's actually quartic. Yeah, quartic. So like the word quart, Q-U-A-R-T, quart, I-C, quartic. If it's degree 4, there's 4 quarts in a gallon. Think of it that way, quartic. Okay, and degree 5. Cameron, what's a degree 5? Quintic. Yeah, if it's a degree 5, we say it has its special name is quintic. Okay, so those are the special names. Anything past that, they don't have a special name. Degree 6, degree 7, degree 8. We just say degree 6, degree 7, degree 8. They don't get any special name. Okay, but then they also have special names according to their terms. A one-term polynomial, we've already learned is called a what?
Monomial.
Class? Monomial, a monomial. If it's a two-term polynomial, there are two monomials in it, right?
Binomial.
A binomial. Well, I bet you all, okay, without even looking in your book, can give me, if it's got three terms in it, what do you think it's called in class?
Trinomial.
Trinomial, yeah, trinomial, like triangle, three sides to a triangle. If there's three terms, it's I put triangle. I don't think that's what we want to call it, okay. Speaking of triangles, I just write that, trinomial. So notice, part of the words are always part of the polynomial word, okay? Trinomial, okay, and 4 plus?
Polynomial.
Polynomial, it doesn't have a special name, we just say you're just a plain old polynomial. Nothing special about you, I guess. Okay. Now, just like you have a first name and you have a last name, a polynomial has a first name and a last name. One of its names is a degree, by its degree, the other name is by its terms. And typically the degree gets to be the first name, and the number of terms gets to be the last name of the polynomial. So it says, check it out, top of page 408. Let's go there. We're going to do 4a, 4b, and 4c. So let's write down, first of all, the polynomial that they give us. Okay, and the first thing, and when you're doing these, I want you to do something for me. First of all, you always want to put it in standard form if it isn't. That's the first thing you want to do. If it's not in standard form, put it in standard form, because you're going to have to make the decision what degree is it and how many terms are there. So is this one in standard form?
No.
What do you think? Is this one in
Yes.
standard form?
Yes.
Goes 3, 2, the next term would have a power of 1 and the last one 0. I think this is in standard form, okay? So we're ready to talk about then what degree is it. So let's write that down. It is degree what?
4, 3.
3. The degree is the exponent on the leading term. It is, how many terms does it have? It has 4 terms. Did I leave you enough room to do all this? Not really. Okay. So I might have to, on mine, I might have to cross these out and move down, but you do what you can. So what's its name? Josh?
No,
It's a degree 3 cubic. It's got 4 terms. It doesn't have a special name for 4 terms, so this is a cubic polynomial. So that's what you have to do. Write down the polynomial. If it's not in standard form, put it in standard form. Then write down what its degree is. Then write down what its number of terms are, and then give it its name. Okay, let's do 4b. We have the number 6. Is it in standard form?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's its degree?
0.
Has a degree of 0 because it does not have a variable term. So that means x was being taken to the 0 power, which turned it into 1, which 1 times 6 is 6. So when it's just a number, it's a degree 0. How many terms are there?
1.
There's only 1. So now we're ready to decide what its name is.
Constant monomial.
Constant because it's got a degree 0. Monomial because there's only 1 term. Okay, you do the last one on your own now, 4C. You try 4C and let's see if we all can come up with the same name for it. Showing work. This is called showing work, what we're doing right now.
Mrs. Legrand,
Yes,
you're spelling degree wrong.
where?
You're putting
A.
No, those are E's, they're just not very
Oh,
nice
they're
E's, I'm
like
sorry.
E's.
Yeah, no, they do look like A's, I'll give you that. They are actually E's. Okay, so I'll do a better job. Okay, now. -3 YKs. Everybody's doing this on their own right now. Or C. Volunteer to go out and finish for me? Hey, come on, Stefan.
Active man.
How do I erase it?
No, that's right.
Go.
Oh, I see, make it into, there you go. That was easy to do.
So it will be eighth degree. This is really tough.
You're doing well.
Try. My handwriting looks so bad.
Not bad at all.
Alright.
Yeah, period, it's like a sentence. Is that a sentence? 8th degree trinomial. Is that a sentence?
I don't
No, it really wouldn't be. There's nothing going on with it. Okay, so do you guys agree with Stefan?
Yes.
Okay, was it in standard form? Did you have to do anything to it? No. It does it is a degree 8. There are 3 monomials in it, so it's 3 terms. Once we get past 5th degree, there's no special names. So we just say 8th degree, and 3 terms means it's a trinomial, so this is accurate. What's the leading coefficient for this one?
Negative 3.
-3. Yeah, good job. Okay, you're ready to do homework. Get your loose leaf out and write down what it is, and just make sure that using your notes and whatever the directions say for the you're doing, sometimes you'll do some things and you don't have to worry about others.
Oil.
You can't do